blacks are so black.
Good Morning Liberty.
On the screen.
On the screen, yeah.
Well, what is up, all of our liberty-loving friends? This is another fantastic episode of Good Morning Liberty. My name is Nate Thurston. Across from me is Mr. Charles MacBook Pro Thompson. How's it going today, Chuck?
Yeah,
That's when you said the blacks. I was just wanting to clarify. You have that Retina display now.
Well, you think people would just automatically assume I'm a racist?
It's a libertarian podcast. You never know.
This is Wesley Snipes level.
Yeah, the blacks on that screen.
The blacks on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's good stuff. It's a nice.
It's
laptop.
Beyond Charlie Murphy.
Yeah, we had a great weekend. Hope you guys had a great weekend. It's Good Morning Liberty. I was telling everyone I did my 20-year high school reunion, and I wanted to report because I told everyone beforehand I was dreading it. Sorry if anyone from my high school class is listening right now.
You just told them about the show this weekend.
I was dreading it. And most people were too. A question I asked was how many of you did not want to be here tonight, but now you're kind of glad you came. And many of them raised their hand on that one too. And I just want to report, it was actually a fun time. I had a great time. Okay.
You were just stressing. Well, you were just stressing about the planning aspect.
I had to put it together. Yeah.
You're not a girl.
People.
So
I'm not good at planning
events.
parties. You know,
events really aren't your forte.
But it was a good time. Yeah. We had fun. And
I know all the people in your class too. So
yeah,
if they're listening to the show, hello.
My biggest issue is I
was upset I didn't get an invite.
I wasn't like super close friends with a lot of people in my class, and that's your fault, actually, because I was actually closer friends with you, who was 2 classes below me. Yeah. And we started a band together, and all the other people in that band were also a couple classes below me. And so I ended up being that loser senior who was hanging out with a bunch of sophomores all the time, playing music, and didn't have time to hang out with anyone else in high school.
Hanging out with kids.
I was also a kid at the time, just to clarify. Okay. This is Good Morning Liberty.
Just an 18-year-old adult man hanging out.
No, I was 17. I didn't turn 18 until after I graduated.
Oh, that is true.
Yeah. So it's Good Morning Liberty. We talk about life, liberty, and the pursuit of meaning every single day of the week. When we want to, smash follow, subscribe, tell a friend, the family member, and the children that they need to listen to the show every single day of the week when they want to. This is episode 1592.
And by the way,
Thank you guys for being here.
If you're new here, I just want to let you know that this is a sarcastic, accurate take on the political landscape. I don't know of another way of putting it, but it's
basically what you're going to get today.
You're going to get the truth.
Yes.
But you're also going to get a lot of jokes and sarcasm. Nate's not a pedophile. I just wanted to make a joke about how he liked to hang out with kids.
I want them to release the list. You know?
Oh yeah.
My name's not on the list.
Release it.
Can we change the subject right now? This is weird.
I thought we weren't talking about Epstein anymore. You said last week.
I'm not talking about Epstein.
Oh.
Neither are you. But we are going to talk about other people who talked about Epstein.
Okay.
We're going to talk about them and what they talked about.
Okay.
Okay, but I've washed my hands with the matter. I've closed that book. But this book is about Epstein. It's just written by another person.
What book? There is no book.
Well, I don't know. There's a few things. The TPUSA event happened. That's Turning Point USA, not Toilet Paper USA. Happened over the weekend, and there were a lot of controversies that happened. Tucker Carlson, or Tucker Carlson as they call him, got up there and said some mean old things about our best friends Israel, and a lot of people are upset about that. Especially,
shared his laugh on stage.
Yeah, Laura Loomer is.
What is that?
Laura Loomer is very upset at Charlie Kirk, who runs TPUSA, for having Tucker Carlson up there, and for having Dave Smith, who like a month ago called for Donald Trump to be impeached over the whole Iran thing, and now he's up there at a MAGA event.
I think Laura Loomer is even so upset at Charlie Kirk that she basically is calling him a never Trumper now.
Yeah, she said some mean things about Charlie Kirk, and I think she's upset. There's no expression on her face, but I'm pretty sure she says that she's upset.
The Botox won't allow it.
I didn't say that. I just said I couldn't tell from the lack of expression on her face. Jeez, I'll have to go that far. Okay, so I wanted to start with this clip because it was the beginning of the debate between Josh Hammer and Dave Smith. And it brings us an important lesson. You know, why is this important? Well, this is actually Josh Hammer's like opening statement against Dave Smith. Dave Smith would be on the anti-Israeli government side. I'm not even saying anti-Israel, anti-Israeli government side. And Josh Hammer is, Israel is our greatest ally type side in this debate. But Josh Hammer pulled a fast one on Dave and crushed him, destroyed him with his opening statement by reading some of Dave Smith's own statements about Donald Trump. And so the craziest part of this clip and why I found it to be important was it's really sad to me. Really sad. It has nothing to do with the debate at all. But you have to realize that you're in front of a crowd of people, most likely all of whom voted for Trump, and some of whom are in the MAGA wing that believes that will not say anything negative about Trump and is upset with anyone who says something negative about Trump. And so in this debate about Israel, this guy, Josh Hammer, just brings a list of things that Dave Smith had said about Trump in order to get the audience on his side. And
Did
make
he go
sure,
first?
No, I think Dave Smith opened first.
Okay.
And then this was Josh Hammer's opening. In order to get the audience on his side, because he knows that Dave Smith has a pretty big audience, he's getting a lot of applause, and he's going to make the best points throughout the debate. And so he tries to let all the people in the audience know you should be careful supporting anything this guy says because he has, in fact, said mean things about Donald Trump in the past. And that's a sad trick to play on people when you're doing a debate about a specific topic.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't work. And in fact, it didn't work. I listened to well over half of the debate, and it didn't seem to have a big effect on what the crowd thought in this instance. Let me play it for you. Mark Levin posted out saying that Josh Hammer destroys comic bleephead Dave Smith. And in parentheses, he put who? Well, it's Dave Smith. He's the guy that you're posting about right now to your really big audience. They got to pretend like he's this nobody that they shouldn't talk about, but they got to talk about it because he's got a huge audience. Here's his comments. This is and
he's also consistently on Joe Rogan and
he's
been on Patrick David.
He's been on all the shows, all the big shows,
PBD,
all the ones there are out there. Here's that opening.
Good news is that while no one should be afraid of debate, and this debate is a nice thing here, the MAGA movement is actually quite unified. Believe it or not, all the talk to the contrary when it comes to these issues. An overwhelming majority of self-identified MAGA Republicans support close U.S.-Israel relations. According to a CBS News poll, moreover, after the recent Operation Midnight Hammer B-2 bombers in Iran, 94% of self-identified MAGA Republicans supported President Trump's dropping those B-2 bombs on Fort Natanz and the other Iranian facilities there. This is a wildly popular policy there. What did Dave...
I do have to cut in and say, when you're debating the merits of actions taken by a government or a government official, talking about how popular those actions are within like the MAGA base or whatever is not an argument as to whether or not it's a good idea. That's like a weirdly... democratic majoritarian argument to make, like, well, a large majority of people supported bombing this country, therefore it must have been a great idea. Mm-hmm. And then you could use that for
putting Japanese people into internment camps.
You could use it for that, or dropping the H-bomb, or taxing the rich, or providing free health care, or not cutting any of the social welfare programs. And therefore, all of those things are great ideas or terrible ideas based on the percentage of people that think it's a good idea or a bad idea. That's not an argument.
Yeah,
it's really not an argument, but that's what he starts off with.
By the way,
he's reminding the base, he's reminding the MAGA people that this is MAGA, okay? 92% of MAGA supported doing this. And so if you cheer for something Dave Smith says during this, you are not MAGA. That's what he's arriving at.
And by the way, though, I will say Trump kind of operates his presidency on that notion.
He sort of does, yeah. He takes popular issues.
Yes.
He is a populist guy.
Which in a way is smart, right?
Smart politically.
Especially when it crosses ideological lines.
Yeah.
It is smart politically when he's like, he does something that 80% of Americans, like being anti-trans. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, yeah, 80% of Americans agree with you. That's
especially
like
on boys and girls sports thing, like a super unpopular thing.
By the way,
so he takes the majority side of that issue.
Did we?
So we've talked about it.
Did we talk about how I think UPenn is going to strip Leah Thomas of the medals?
They did that. Yeah, pretty sure. No, we didn't talk about it.
Yeah. Anyway, I think
we were talking about Epstein.
That's White Pill. That's White Pill Wednesday.
Yeah. Here's some more.
Smith say about this? He re-upped his now years-long crusade to call for Donald Trump's impeachment. Y'all probably don't know that about Dave Smith, do you? He's now called for Donald Trump to be impeached multiple times. But Dave, look, I mean, I don't like when people misquote me either. You probably don't like when people misquote you. So I actually have a little bit of a highlight reel here of Dave Smith's tweets over the years. Dave Smith, March 19th, 2024. Donald Trump is responsible for around 500,000 deaths in Yemen, and between the weapons to Ukraine and the Abraham Accords Jerusalem embassy, he is at least partially responsible for the two worst humanitarian crises in the world. He's a war criminal who should spend his life in prison. He is calling Donald Trump a war criminal who should spend his life in prison. You should be livid at that. I am livid at that as a Trump supporter. Donald Trump, Dave Smith, June 16, 2025. Trump allegedly had full prior knowledge of Israel's attacks and gave it his blessing while pretending to be negotiating with the Iranians as a cover. If this is true, Trump is the most impotent bitch of a leader imaginable. He's calling our president, the greatest president in my lifetime, an impotent bitch. Are you kidding me? June 21st, 2025, Donald Trump has now launched an illegal war of aggression against Iran. The risk of an absolute catastrophe is very high and the benefits are non-existent. Dave Smith, June 21st. Dead wrong. This notion that World War III would start, not a single American casualty. We should be celebrating that. Donald Trump fulfilled multiple campaign promises. The escalator speech in 2015 at Trump Tower, he literally said, I'm not going to let Iran get a nuclear weapon. And guess what? He said, I oppose a neoconservative foreign policy. He did both of those things with Iran. He deprived the Iranian regime of nuclear weapon while not losing a single American sailor, soldier, or Marine while depriving them of nuclear weapons. And finally, Charlie, I'll end on this. Dave Smith, July 8th, 2025. In the last month, Donald Trump has launched a war of aggression on behalf of a foreign government, exploded the debt, announced that he's continuing the Biden policy of arming Ukraine, and covered up a giant child rape operation. So according to my interlocutor, Donald Trump is not just engaging in wars on behalf of a foreign government, he is also covering up the world's giant pedophilic child sex trafficking ring, allegedly, I presume, on behalf of a foreign government as well. So I'm disgusted, frankly, that this man is on stage, but I'll end it at that.
Okay. So what he does here, instead of talking about the merits of any of the arguments, is he's going to try and frame this debate in, are you pro-Trump or anti-Trump? And Dave Smith is not, if Dave Smith disagrees with anything, he must be anti-Trump. And you can't agree with anything Dave Smith says because that goes against what Donald Trump is doing. And Donald Trump is the best president that there's ever been in the history of the world. And so therefore you're anti-MAGA if you listen to or agree with anything that this guy's about to say. I think it's hilarious that Dave Smith just got him to read a whole bunch of really good talking points for his own opening statement.
Yeah.
That just
I will say, though, it is a smart debate tactic.
Oh, it's smart.
Though, because he's appealing to emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And humans are, how we're like 90% water, something like that. That water is emotion.
Yeah, that's what it is, mainly.
So, that's science. You can look that up. I told you you'd hear the truth.
Yeah, that's the truth. That is science. We know that. Let me see here. I've got a few more clips from this one. So that's how it actually started out. And this might have been Dave Smith's response here. Let me get this response.
Let's stay focused on that.
Yeah,
we can.
Well, the thing, Charlie,
but defend yourself.
Sure.
Obviously.
Well, the thing is, Charlie, as you may have noticed, and some of you may have seen some of my other debates. Every single time I come up here to debate issues, and they come up here to debate me and my character. It's all they have every single time because they can't actually take on any of the arguments. And so the most pathetic, low-hanging fruit of you guys like Trump. This guy said bad things about Trump. Listen, guys. I'm a free American. I supported Donald Trump in this last election. Yes, he did just actively cover up a giant child rapist ring, and I'm going to criticize him for that, okay? And I'm sorry, after all these years of us right-wingers saying, protect the children, come on, that's bad for your soul if you don't. You speak up about that. It's hard.
All right.
That was his response.
It was a good response.
He did exactly what you said.
Yeah, pretty good response. overall.
Every time I debate one of these losers, basically, all they try to do is personally attack me because they can't. He should have said they're not smart enough to debate the issues.
Oh, he did. He did call him out. I'm like halfway through the debate right now.
I want to watch it.
He
I'm
said,
fired up.
It's good. It's really good. He did say that he just gave like a low IQ, response or whatever. I don't remember. It was, so he did call him out for that. Dave's obviously a really good debater. He's a great asset to the Liberty Movement. I'm glad that we in the Liberty Movement have him, and I'm glad that he's able to get up there on a stage in front of a bunch of MAGA Republicans and get a bunch of cheers from them and go on all the big shows and all that.
And tell the truth.
Yeah, tell the truth about stuff. I think we've got, we're always looking at like who's the Ron Paul of this next generation. I think we've got a lot of good options right now. There's actually some good people out there.
Nate Thurston
doing great Ron Paul type things that are going to carry that torch, and Dave's clearly one of them.
Dave's well, that's what I when I think of folks like that. Thomas Massey comes to mind. Dave Smith, Nate Thurston,
those guys. Never heard of her.
Yeah.
Laura, as a response here, let me get one more clip in here before we do. Oh, that was the same one. He did just cover up a child sex trafficking ring, and so that was brought up a few times at the
you have
event,
more clips
for sure.
More clips
I've got
of this
stuff
debate?
from Tucker Carlson. I don't have more clips from the debate. These are the ones that are going around.
Man, I should really be part of show prep. I think.
You should you should do that. That'd be good for sure. I would agree.
Because now I'm pumped.
Laura Loomer's sad and upset. She's upset with Charlie Kirk, and this stuff is just so weird to me. It has to do with the Tucker Carlson thing too that we're about to play, but we're more on the right-leaning side than left-leaning side. We're not fully right-wing or whatever, but I thought that free speech was an important thing, not just as a legal principle. Like, I'm not saying that by saying Charlie Kirk shouldn't platform Dave Smith and Tucker Carlson, that's anti-First Amendment or anything. I'm not saying that she thinks they should be legally barred from speaking, although she probably would go along with that. But even thinking that people shouldn't hear these arguments, free speech is an important thing, not just legally, but it is important for people to hear all of the opposing viewpoints or alternative viewpoints in any of these situations so they can make up their mind for themselves. So advocating that people shouldn't hear those viewpoints, especially when they seem to have a lot of truth behind them, is just more of like wanting to silo off the people where they just stay on that one track and they never consider that maybe they're being lied to, maybe people are hiding things from them. It's a dangerous thing to do, and it's super dangerous for a political movement to be fully centered around one man like Trump. Like, we voted for Trump. I think he's done a lot of great things so far, but I'm not like, Trump is our Lord and Savior, Donald Trump, or anything like that. He's gone in 3.5 years, y'all. Who's after that? What kind of movement can you really have when it's just based around the idea that one man can do no wrong?
Yeah.
I can't even fathom the idea of joining that movement. That is so weird, especially when you know that there's a timetable here of 3.5 years, tops, that the guy's going to be around making these decisions. So it's just not smart.
Like, what would make me support Trump and make America support Trump? If he came on camera and was like, look, I didn't want to release the files. That this is me.
Mm-hmm.
This is on me. That was wrong. I made a promise to release the files. And even though, this may hurt our economy or whatever the consequences may be for his reasoning, or maybe like I'm on the list.
Yeah.
Whatever, and that's why I didn't want to release it, but I'm going to release it because I made a promise. Do you know how much respect that would earn?
It probably earn a lot of trust.
Yes.
It would earn a lot of trust.
For someone who takes accountability and has the humility. But humility with Trump, it's not really a thing. Not really his supporters.
Not a big thing. So Laura Loomer is going out there against Charlie Kirk right now. She was even talking about, aren't there a lot of AIPAC donations for TPUSA? They need to reconsider. So now she's going after TPUSA for having comic Dave Smith and Tucker Carlson out there on stage. And so I think it would be Let me see what else we have here. Oh, one more point here by Dave Smith before we move on to Tucker Carlson. And then there are other things in the news here as well after Tucker. Ghislaine Maxwell allegedly, reportedly, is saying that she'll testify in front of Congress and tell her story. I don't think she'll make it there. I'll just tell you that. Whoever's reporting this, it better gosh darn well be accurate. Like, it's got to be very accurate, because you are risking her life if you're making this stuff up, because she will have a second thought and maybe do harm to herself in prison. If this isn't real, that would suck. That'd be bad journalism right there. Tulsi Gabbard spoke at TPUSA. Tulsi, the thing with Tulsi is weird. We've hardly talked about Tulsi in this whole, we talked about Epstein like every day last week. We're talking about intel agencies, spies, stuff like that. Hardly anyone mentioned Tulsi Gabbard at all this whole time. Like, I thought
she only got caught up briefly in the messaging scandal with Pete Hegseth and
all that stuff.
Yeah.
So
we haven't talked about her since then.
We haven't talked about her much at all. There was some new news that came out about the Biden auto pen scandal, and then there was big news on Friday with the $27 billion surplus. What's going on out there?
I don't know. I hear a bunch of crazy banging. I'll be right back.
All right.
Keep going.
I'll keep going here. Let's play the Dave
real,
Smith thing.
The real problem for America, if you want to even talk about like the Islam taking over America or taking over Europe, well, how did that happen? That happened because we completely destabilized the region, fighting war after war after war that did nothing but slaughter hundreds of thousands of people. And then our Western governments had the most insane open immigration policy that was basically suicidal. We're doing this to ourselves. We're $37 trillion in debt, and we're looking for another enemy to go fight. Since the collapse of the Soviet Union, we've spent $20 trillion on empire and wars. And you know what? We can't tax enough money to pay for it. We can't borrow enough money to pay for it. So what do? We print the money. And now you guys are coming out into the world and you're wondering why you're 6 figures in debt from college and you're getting a job at DoorDash and the average house goes for $800,000 because we've destroyed the currency chasing these monsters that were never any threat to our country.
So,
all right, so that was a really good clip. I'm sorry you missed it, Charlie. You had to walk away.
Dang it.
Yeah,
that's what I wanted. I wanted to hear more of that.
It was a very Ron Paul clip from Dave Smith. So, most of all, I just want to say thanks to Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA for having Dave Smith up there. Apparently, it took a lot of courage because today's hardcore MAGA base is trying to cancel Charlie Kirk right now for platforming such people who will say such terrible things like, we've spent $20 trillion since the collapse of the Soviet Union building our empire, and we're out of money, and we're printing the money to pay for it, and you're paying for it through inflation. That's summary of what just happened right there, since you weren't here for it. It's good stuff. All right, now the Tucker Carlson clip, that one, did you say there's people on your roof? Is that what's going on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you hear it now?
I heard it before. I hear a little bit. It's not going to come through on the recording, but
okay.
Just so you guys know, listening at home right now, there might be a few distractions for us because there's people walking right above our heads right now. It reminds me of the old.
At first, I thought a Jaguar or a Puma was inside the house.
Oh yeah.
God, you hear that? Do you feel that?
I felt it. Yeah, they're not going to hear it.
So
yeah, or
ATF agents. Yeah, same thing. Jaguar, Pumas, ATF agents.
Santa Claus, either one of those things.
And I was just like, oh wow, the click and the clatter. What was the matter?
So there rose such a clatter up there. This is the clip from Tucker Carlson that's getting all the hate mail over the weekend. He touched the third rail in front of a bunch of Republicans, and this is what it sounded like.
Not acceptable. And I think the real answer is Jeffrey Epstein was working on behalf of intel services, probably not American. And we have every right to ask, on whose behalf was he working? How does a guy go from being a math teacher at the Dalton School in the late 70s with no college degree to having multiple airplanes, a private island, and the largest residential house in Manhattan? Where did all the money come from? And no one has ever gotten to the bottom of that because no one has ever tried. And moreover, it's extremely obvious to anyone who watches that this guy had direct connections to a foreign government. Now, no one's allowed to say that that foreign government is Israel because we have been somehow cowed into thinking that that's naughty. There is nothing wrong with saying that. There is nothing hateful about saying that. There's nothing anti-Semitic about saying that. There's nothing even anti-Israel about saying that. I've spent my entire life pretty much in Washington, where I knew and loved a number of people, including one very close person who worked at CIA. That has never prohibited me from saying, I think the CIA has done some horrible things, murdered a bunch of people, participated in the murder of a sitting U.S. president. It's got a whole trail of crimes. That doesn't make me a disloyal American. It doesn't make me anti-American in any sense. I was born here. My family's been here for hundreds of years. I love this country. That's why I live here. So criticizing the behavior of a government agency does not make you a hater. It makes you a free person. It makes you a citizen. You're allowed to do that because you're not a slave. You're a citizen. And you have a right to expect that your government will not act against your interests, and you have a right to demand that foreign governments not be allowed to act against your interests. That's not creepy. It shouldn't be forbidden. And yet all of us have trained ourselves to believe that you can't say that somehow, that that's like too naughty and forbidden. And the effect of making that off limits has been to create a lot of resentment, and I'll say it, hate online, where people feel like they can't just say, like, what the hell is this? You have the former Israeli prime minister living in your house. You have had all this contact with the foreign government. Were you working on behalf of Mossad? Were you running a blackmail operation on behalf of foreign government? By the way, every single person in Washington, D.C. thinks that. I've never met anyone who doesn't think that. I don't know any of them that hate Israel, but no one feels they can say that. Why? And I think the longer that we play along with it, the more subterranean and creepy and hateful the conversation actually becomes. So I think it's better just to say it right out loud. Did this happen? And of course, that question has been asked to the government of Israel, and their answer is, we're not going to tell you. And I think our answer should be, no. As long as we're sending you money, if you were committing crimes on our soil, we have an absolute right to know, did you do this or not? And yet everybody has been so brainwashed into thinking that's somehow an expression of hate or bigotry, when it's not. It's a baseline question that every U.S. citizen has a right to an answer on.
In fact, that's what makes you an American.
Yeah, you should
it's
be
the
able
ability,
to...
you should be able to ask questions.
And you should. And of course, they attack this whole thing, just asking questions, as like, you're just hiding your bigotry, hiding your hate when you're just
sounds like a leftist argument.
It is a leftist argument.
Yeah.
They are the woke right. The people that go against that are the woke right. That's why they started using the term woke right against their enemies to get out in front of it. Narcissists are great at getting out in front of people with the argument, and that's what they tried to do.
And most
maybe
of the time,
succeeded.
what they're accusing you of, they've done themselves.
Yeah, most of the time.
So they're accusing Tucker of being woke right. They're the ones that are woke right.
It's the weirdest thing that you could.
By the way, this is the #1 anti-woke podcast that you'll find.
He could have stood on stage, and in this 3.5 minutes we just played you, he could have talked about how it was the CIA that was running Jeffrey Epstein this whole time, that it was the U.S. deep state that was running Jeffrey Epstein this whole time, and he wouldn't have gotten any of the hate that he received from America First people up there talking about how the CIA was running a child sex ring in order to blackmail prominent individuals. It would have been fine.
And that may be partially true.
And I'm sure they shared it. Yeah. But when he gets up there and he says that a foreign intelligence agency was doing it, he says there is some pretty good circumstantial evidence that this was happening, and that all of a sudden he needs to be canceled. Like, I've seen more people come out, they're not going to be able to cancel Tucker Carlson. That's not a thing that's going to happen. But I've seen a lot of attempts. And I've seen a hell of a lot of attempts after he went up there and made this speech. And you really should ask yourself, like, why is it that you can't criticize this foreign government? And not even just the foreign government, an intelligence agency of the foreign government. Like, we'll talk about, like, sort of what he mentioned, we'll talk about the CIA doing terrible stuff. And of course, we tie that to our government having too much power. But we admit that there is a deep state, deeper than the surface level U.S. government that we still think is too big, but that there is a deep state of entrenched bureaucrats, people who are running essentially another government that's always going. It doesn't matter what happens in the elections. Doesn't matter what funding goes this way or that way, that there is like a second shadow government that is really running things in the U.S. and around the world. And I guess that sounds like something a conspiracy theory would say. But if you pose the idea like that also this happens in other governments and that other governments' intelligence agencies can do terrible things, all of a sudden you're anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. It would be like I don't know what the racist term, bigoted term for saying something against the American government would be. Like, I don't know.
Unpatriotic.
Yeah. Anti-American, unpatriotic, whatever it is. Or I was thinking something racial, but, the U.S. doesn't have like a super strong racial makeup. I guess mostly white. So like anti-white. If you criticize the American government, you hate white people.
Yeah, you hate
wouldn't
crackers.
Wouldn't that be ridiculous if you criticize the CIA and they're like, oh, you just hate white people?
Yeah.
That's retarded is what that would be called.
You're
okay.
You must want to kill all Anglo-Saxons.
It's insane. Okay, so that's the main Tucker Carlson thing that happened. Now, the former Israeli prime minister caught wind of this. Naftali Bennett came out and said, as a former Israeli prime minister, with the Mossad having reported directly to me, I say to you with 100% certainty, the accusation that Jeffrey Epstein somehow worked for Israel or the Mossad during running a blackmail ring is categorically and totally false. Epstein's conduct, both the criminal and the merely despicable, had nothing whatsoever to do with the Mossad or the state of Israel. Epstein never worked for the Mossad. This accusation is a lie being peddled by prominent online personalities such as Tucker Carlson, pretending they know things they don't. They just make things up, say it with confidence, and these lies stick because it's Israel.
Because it's real?
Because it's real. Nice.
Yeah.
There's a vicious wave of slander and lies against my country and my people, and we just won't take it anymore.
Now, if I was lying about something, this is exactly
what it
I
would sound
post.
like. Yeah. That's it's a complicated situation because if you were telling the truth about something, you would also say this, and you'd probably release some evidence, but they're not going to release. Of course, it's hard to prove, to disprove a negative, as they say. Tucker said this sounded like a threat. Like, what does it mean to just not take it anymore? What's that mean? You're going to have Tucker not kill himself too?
They're really going to town up there.
Yeah, we got people hammering on stuff. You can definitely hear that now. That's showing up on the microphones now. I can see it. That's too bad. Okay.
That's not the FBI trying to get into my house, by the way.
Yeah, they wouldn't
even though
knock.
You would assume
they wouldn't knock. It would be a no-knock situation for sure for us.
That's just, they're just fixing the roof, I think.
I feel like they're banging on the window right now. Good Lord.
No, take out one of your ears.
Where are they at? Hold on.
They're right there.
Are they trying to find studs? What are they doing here?
I don't know.
That's rather loud and unfortunate.
There's other parts of the roof. They could go.
Yeah, they could go to a different
side
of the house. Yeah. A different wing of your mansion. So it does seem personal now to me that they're doing this. It feels intentional, and I don't know what to say about it.
The Fed Haters Club is saying they like the immersion. They feel like they're in the room with us. So
yeah, we could pan it left, right, make it feel like maybe like surround sound.
Add some reverb to it, maybe just a little reverb.
Yeah, we could do that.
By the way, if you want to hear these kind of sounds live, go to joingmail.com.
Yeah, you guys are hearing old sounds. You want to hear it current, like right now? That's what you get. Laura Loomer posted out something. I guess, where is this?
By the way, speaking of the Fed Haters Club, real quick, and joining at joingmail.com, Fed Haters Club thinks, they think there's a poll going on. They think Laura Loomer should be deported to Israel. So
I think she should self-deport.
They think that.
To Israel, not us. I just said I think, though.
Oh.
I said self-deport.
Okay.
So I'm not saying we should force her, but I think self-deporting would be worth it. So now she's speaking out against Charlie Kirk again. She says, Charlie speaks out of both sides of his mouth. 1 minute he said Islam is incompatible with the West. Then he's talking about how amazing Tucker is, who thinks Qatar is one of our biggest allies. But wait, I thought Islam was incompatible with the West. This is something didn't
Qatar donate this big, beautiful plane?
This is something she does that really drives me nuts, because she's one of these people who will not criticize Trump, even though she went on this huge, like, she wanted Pam Bondi gone last week. It's all she's talking about. And Trump comes out in full support of Pam Bondi. She's got nothing negative to say about Trump, ever. She can never say something negative about Trump. Or she could say people around him are lying to him, you know.
It's like she's married to him. She's standing up for her husband.
He's too trustworthy. He's just too good of a person. He believes some of these terrible people around him. She can never say something negative. So she talks about Charlie inviting Tucker, who thinks Qatar is one of our biggest allies. You know who else says that Qatar is one of our biggest allies?
Trump.
Trump says that. So much so that he will accept a $400 million jet from Qatar. And we have our biggest military base in the Middle East is in Qatar. That's where Iran did the fake attack, you know. Trump also thinks that Qatar is one of our biggest allies. She won't say that. She'll literally attack Tucker for something that Trump agrees with and be fine with it. She doesn't care. It's totally no problem at all. And
this is how she funds her Botox.
That's how she gets that money.
Allegedly.
For sure.
Allegedly. So.
Can we have one more distraction?
Yeah. Hey, I'm recording, bud. I'll talk to you in just a second, okay? They're fixing the roof.
Go help.
No, don't go outside.
If he goes up there and just goes right up the ladder, you know? Just straight on up there. Okay. Silence.
That's just a kid.
Silence.
Yeah.
It's totally fine.
Do you want to say something? Do you want to say something real quick?
So he went outside the door to yell what he wanted to say through the door. He went outside like he told him to.
It's just people fixing the roof, but do you want to say something to the audience real quick? Come real quick in the mic. Come say it. And then you got to go back to playing your video game. Right? Come on, right here.
I'm watching a movie.
Come here. Yeah, and then you can play, then watch a movie. Come here. Real quick. Hurry. You got something to say to people.
Well, what happened to the roof before?
They're fixing the roof. It had a leak.
Oh. Well, where's the leak?
In the roof.
It's everywhere. It's all around us.
No, wait.
Hey.
Where did it leak to the floor? Like, this is the floor.
In the walls.
In the walls.
Yeah. Okay, tell people to subscribe.
Tell people to subscribe of what's happening, where the leak is coming from, like, from the roof. But Daddy said it's from wall, but I don't know which wall it is.
Downstairs.
Downstairs? Well, I heard knocking on the door, so I opened it.
And you knew it wasn't Santa Claus because it's July.
And so I closed back the door, and then I still heard knocking from my room.
Yeah.
From the roof, and somehow I walked past the where the leak was. So the leak was to my right, and then the door, the closing, the locked door was to my left.
And then say Epstein didn't kill himself.
And Epstein didn't kill himself. Why?
All right, thank you. Love you.
That's good. That's good stuff.
That's fun stuff. Maybe we can cut a clip.
We'll have to start the episode with that, I think. Yeah.
And Epstein didn't kill himself.
And then roll it.
That's
what we'll do. I'm going to make that happen today.
All right. All right, enough distractions. I think. What were we talking about?
I don't know. Now we have two cats in the room.
Oh, yeah. They're going to be jumping on the desks.
They'll be fine. They're the least of our problems. Right
Everything
now.
ended up fine. It's a great show.
Let me see what Tulsi Gabbard had to say about the deep state while she was at TPUSA.
You think the campaign was hard? You think what President Trump went through was hard? And it was. The road ahead will not be easy. I can attest personally that in my work as the Director of National Intelligence, the deep state is fighting us every step of the way. And it exists within every single federal agency. And so I feel the same frustration that I see many of you expressing on X or in different platforms about why aren't things going faster? Why aren't we getting results more quickly? I feel this frustration every single day. We are pushing hard. Know that they are pushing hard back.
All right, so that's her. Now, I can take that. The Epstein situation sort of seems to stand alone a little bit, considering we know that it's like Pam Bondi and Trump himself that seem to be making this decision. You know, with all the other stuff, you could kind of accept that, like, there's a deep state. They're working against it. It's taking some time. It's going to be very tough, maybe impossible to dismantle without some of you guys, you know, turning up dead, you know, because you're trying to do it, or getting some kind of scandal thrown your way where you get removed.
I mean, I still think
position.
the Epstein is part of the deep state.
It is, and
Cover up.
that's where you have to decide. You know, we can't decide to go along with the official narrative. I did last week on Wednesday. I decided that I was going to believe the official narrative.
Oh, yeah, you were done talking about it.
Yeah, I was done talking about it.
That's right.
But there are different ways that you can just, you know, talk about this where, you know, why did they decide to go this way? You know, Pam Bondi released the binders, said phase 1, all of that. That was part of that Matt Walsh tweet that we reposted. And as I've heard some other people say, this could have all been a negotiation in itself. Like, they know that they have this blackmail. They've got this information on all of these people, and this is their negotiation. They release, here's phase 1. Here's this information. We've got the list on our desk. We're going to go through this. We're going to release all these things. Unless, and who knows what the unless is. I don't know what the negotiation is, but that could have been the opening negotiation. Like, hey, here's phase 1. We're about to release all this stuff. You guys better call our office and tell us what you're going to do for your country right now.
Because it's still an asset.
Because this is what your country's going to do to you if you don't. And
another point to this is when you have some prominent MAGA figures that are not going along with the narrative, Tucker, Charlie Kirk, newly acquired Matt Walsh. He was on vacation when all this went down. And I saw him come back to Twitter yesterday. He's like, what did I miss? And then an hour later, this is bullshit. I don't think this is going to go away. I think the American people are going to continue to demand answers regardless of what Trump says. And I think I will give some credit to some of the cult in that they're willing to stand on some principles. Like, okay, you know, killing innocent women and children in war, maybe that's not a big enough reason to say something, but having sex with kids, that kind of crosses the line for them.
It did cross the line.
And they're not willing to just go along with it. So I think there's a little credit there. I wish there were other principles they could stand on, but that's why you guys listen to us, because we actually stand on all the right principles.
Yeah, so we do have a couple things here. There was a headline from the Daily Mail. Now, the Daily Mail, not
Benny Johnson, that's another huge voice.
Not like my favorite. Yeah, Benny Johnson's been good. He keeps talking about it. Once again, he's not really railing on Trump. None of these guys are just heavy criticizing Trump, but they are going to continue talking about it as if Trump cannot make a phone call and get this whole thing released. They're going to act like that's not what would solve the whole situation, and that he's refusing to do that because he doesn't want to. But they're going to keep talking about it, at least. So that's a good thing. But there's this report from the Daily Mail saying Jeffrey Epstein's accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, is ready to reveal truth of the pedophile client list, says insiders. Republicans are apparently trying to block her from coming and doing that right now. That's Daily Mail. And then leading report, I think Kevin just posted this in the group from Patrick Webb, who's the co-founder of
Why can't she just pass on her information to someone to write a book? She'd make millions.
Yeah, she could do that. If it's a real thing, I don't think she would survive the attempt. And so...
Yeah, but that's why you just have a meeting with your lawyer and have your lawyer just record a whatever.
What I was alluding to earlier.
12-hour conversation.
Like, I hope the Daily Mail is not just making this up, because this could very well get her murdered in prison. And so that's you want to make sure that you're not making this whole thing up, because this is life or death. I don't know about the details of congressional Republicans trying to block this from happening right now. And I do know that currently Maxwell is appealing, and I believe the DOJ is supposed to make a decision on this soon. The headline here, good Lord, so difficult to do right now. Maxwell's lawyers argue she should never have been put on trial due to a plea deal between Jeffrey Epstein and Florida prosecutors in 2008. So some of the news on this has been spun that like, oh, well, the new news came out and it turns out there wasn't a client list and there wasn't any blackmail going on and there wasn't this whole sex trafficking ring. And so therefore she's innocent. So therefore she's going to try and get this overturned. That's not actually the case. This is actually an appeal she was trying to make already before this whole thing came out, that as we discussed last week, in that plea deal with Jeffrey Epstein in 2008, they said that they would have federal immunity from prosecution for Epstein and his co-conspirators. And turns out they didn't hold up that end of the bargain due to some technicalities. And so she's basically trying to get this overturned right now because they had made a promise not to go after his co-conspirators, and they still did it anyway. And so they're trying to get that overturned at the moment. That's what's happening right now, and I think their deadline was like today to make that. We respectfully request under Rule 30.4 of the rules of this court a further extension of time to and including July 14th within which to file the government's response. So they have to have a response today. Is what's happening.
Yeah.
So
and this would be a violation of the 14th Amendment if, the equal protections clause under the law. Because if it applies in one circuit court but not the others.
There's a technicality that they have in there where there's a certain court that it didn't apply in, and that's the one that's the court they used to go after her.
Right.
And so I'm glad they went after her, but I do wish that there'd be some information, like she helped traffic to whom. I think that's a pretty important bit of information, but whatever. We'll see if they're going to release any of that. There were a couple other things we were going to talk about today, but honestly, my head's about to explode at the moment because I'm getting pulled every which way. We got at least 8 guys hammering above our heads right now. It's a whole crew of people. I swear, if it gets any louder, I'm going to call ICE. And so this is ridiculous. And so we gotta go because I just have to stop. I don't even remember doing a show.
They'll be done in like
today.
10 minutes.
Yeah.
Just give it 10 minutes.
Give it 10 minutes. It's fine.
We'll have a whole new roof. I didn't know they were coming at this time. I wish I would have known that. We could have scheduled around it.
Yeah, it would have been good.
We have what we have.
That's what we have.
Lots of other stuff to get to. I think we've got some good clips, at least, from the show.
There's
today.
some clips in here.
Some good clips that maybe we'll cut for those that don't listen to the full podcast. But if you enjoyed the full thing, then share the full thing. Leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, please. That definitely helps the algorithm, and we appreciate all of you that do it. I do read them, and
I do not.
Almost all of them are really nice. Few bad ones, but that's because those people don't know anything.
Those people are anti-MAGA anyway.
Yeah.
I don't care about what they say.
Remember this guy we went to high school with, full Bernie socialist, that got mad at you being right, and so he just left us bad reviews?
Your brother?
No.
Oh.
Ben.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was just so mad that he just started leaving us bad reviews. I think that's what happens,
Yeah.
Like when you're arguing with your wife and you're right, but she feels like you're not.
I know exactly what you mean.
And she'll just start hurling insults, like bad review. It's like calling the BBB.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't feel like you're right, even though you are right. She knows it deep down. Anyway, hopefully you feel like we are right. Leave us a positive rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Visit the links in the show notes to support the sponsors that support this show. And if you do all of that, then we'll be back again tomorrow. Hope you have a good day and a good morning, Liberty.